Hello and welcome to What's the Word Windsor, the official podcast of the town of Windsor. I'm Benjamin Boddicker, Creative Services Supervisor, and we're so glad you're joining us today. Today we're honored to welcome Windsor's Mayor, Julie Cline. In this episode, we'll explore her journey into public service, what inspired her to run for office, and what life is like as mayor. She'll also share valuable insights and advice for anyone considering a future in public leadership. Now let's turn it over to your host, Visual Media Coordinator, Kira McKinley.
What's the Word, Windsor? I'm your host, Kira McKinley, and today we're here with Julie Cline. How are you?
Hi, I'm great.
Good.
And I'm so excited to be here. I saw everyone else's podcasts and thought, we need to have the mayor on.
Gotta hop on the show,
yes, gotta
right?
hop on
Yeah.
and be ready to rock
Yeah.
and roll. So
Yeah.
what you guys have been doing is so wonderful. It's giving a
Thank
great
you.
chance for the community to be able to learn more about the people and the staff of Windsor. So it's a great opportunity. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank
No
you. We
problem.
appreciate it. And yeah, we wanted to get Julie on because you guys will probably see her quite a bit, maybe out in public or at coffee with the mayor.
Mhm.
And yeah, you get to do a lot with the town, which is really awesome. But I really want to dive in before we talk about your role as the mayor. You know, what's your background? How'd you even come to being the mayor of Windsor?
It's great. It's crazy stories.
Yeah.
But really, I started out, I grew up in Nebraska, and everyone when you grow up in Nebraska, you always want to live in Colorado.
Really?
It is. You
Okay.
don't want to stay where you're at. And I think that's also something when you're younger, everyone wants to be somewhere else, and you don't
True.
realize how nice it is until you leave.
Yeah. Grass is greener on the other side, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is. That's where you want to go.
Yeah.
But growing up there, actually, my dad died when I was 5 years old.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And so it was a single parent family, my mom and my sister and I. And so from there, you kind of learn you have to be strong. So I was only 5 years old, starting kindergarten, and going, all right, it's just my mom, my sister, and my sister's younger than me. And, I knew that I had to be a strong person.
Take a step up. Yeah.
Exactly. And so that kind of started young at that time, just trying to help my mom take care of my sister and then helping to figure out where I wanted to go, what I wanted to be.
Yes. Yeah.
In high school, we had a great thing in high school. We were able to, they had club day, which was great
Nice.
because that got people excited to get into clubs because it was a full day of school. And if you belonged to a club, you didn't have to go to class. So that was wonderful. So a lot of people, the clubs really got moving and got going. And one of them was one of the political clubs. You could pick the,
nice.
teenage Republicans or the young Democrats. And so I did
Cool.
pick a club, and it was a good experience. But back in middle school, even, we were able to interview the governor of the state of Nebraska. Because I grew up in Lincoln, and actually our middle school was 5 blocks away from the state capitol. So we were able to walk over there and interview the governor. And so it was just really kind of just being able to just touch on, that little political side. That was just kind of the state politics, not really the whole federal craziness of politics.
A little bit of a better thing to get an introduction.
Exactly.
into,
Just a kind of little step in. But then, going through college, went to the University of Nebraska at Lincoln. Right there in Lincoln, got my master's at Ole Miss. So again, that gave me a chance to get out of the state and realize, I wanted to get back to family and get back to where everybody, that I know and where we grew up. So coming back, we realized that we wanted to come to Colorado.
Yeah.
So
not too far away,
not
but
too
far enough.
Exactly. And I think one of the people don't realize too is being mayor of Windsor is not a full-time gig. I
That's an important
have
note.
a full-time job.
Yeah.
So-
But the mayor job also takes up a lot of your time.
Exactly,
too.
exactly.
Yeah.
But coming into Windsor, I think that was one of the great things is that when we wanted to, for my job, we were able to select Northern Colorado, and we said, okay, which town do we want to live in? There's Wellington, you got Greeley, you got Loveland, you got Fort Collins. What was the fit? And actually, when we drove in and came down the hill on 392, we're like, this is it. It just felt like home. It
that's
felt
beautiful.
great, with the Friday night lights, the hometown feel, and all of that. And we're like, this is where we wanted to be able to have our family and be able to, let my son grow up and be.
Is that why you chose Windsor, because of like the family vibe and priority within the town, or what else, like when you drove down that road, really just like stood out to you?
I would have to say yes, definitely kind of the family aspect. This again, I know we say this a lot, the small town feel, but it really did. Having the one high school at the time, now we've grown, but having the one high school at the time. The New Windsor area, the homes that are right behind the high school, you go down and tree-lined streets and all the green and the
Grand Ave, yeah.
Exactly. It made you feel like a community immediately. Not that you were going to have to go out and try to, meet all your neighbors or do anything crazy like that. You were belonging. You were able to belong right away.
It feels immersive. I remember when I first came here and I was doing like an event or something, and we were at Boardwalk Park, and it just felt like Gilmore Girls or something like that. I was like, oh my gosh, like, because it really does feel immersive within the community right off the bat, and that's such a special thing. I love that you said that. You just drove in and it hit you in the face that was just what Windsor is and what it was and what it will continue to be.
What we
it's
hope
really nice.
it will
yes.
continue to be.
Right, with work from people like you. That's how we keep it that way. But,
exactly.
Speaking of that, how did you decide to run for office once you lived here? What drew you to do that? You obviously are a mom, you work full-time, you're busy. What made you want to take that step?
Well, I think the main thing is in just wanting to be involved. And, even though it's a small town feel, which actually made it even better, was that you have the ability, because we are small, to run into the mayor when you're walking around at the grocery store. You can see the town manager. You'd see all the communications people. I mean, we run into the town attorney, the deputy town attorney, and her son, and my son played Little League together. So I mean, it's just one of those that everyone's involved because we are smaller. And so with that, I'm like, okay, I want to get involved in the town. How can I do that? And the town liaison boards were a great place to start. Now, I went on and I interviewed for the Water and Sewer Board, which I would have to say, of all the boards, is dry compared to water. But it was really, honestly, the only board that had an opening at the time. And so I thought this was my way to get in. And going on that interview, and just like I've done in a lot of things, I'm like, if I don't know it, I will learn it. I will go try to find out and dig up the right information and make sure that whatever my background, that I can also help to influence.
And that's the most important thing to do, is just staying educated like that. That's wonderful.
And I think that board was very interesting because, coming from Nebraska, water's not as big of a deal as it is out here in northern Colorado.
It isn't really. Okay.
No, so definitely it's, we have an aquifer there and get a little more rainfall, and this is kind of considered the high desert region. There isn't, as you can tell, I mean, you have to put on a lot of moisturizer.
Yeah.
Right, and that's also kind of why we joined things like NISP and all those awesome projects for water so that we can continue to grow.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. We need to make sure that we can do that. And I mean, like I think in the gold mining days, I mean, one of the things that the water was one of the big important things. I mean, they would kill over water. So
it's crazy. And now, so that board, very cool. Probably a very educational experience. How'd you go from there, and how'd you move up in the works of the Windsor Town Board and all that?
No. So as our charter says, which is kind of our direction to follow of how we operate as a town, we had a person that became, we actually had an opening in District 2 at the time.
Okay.
It was District 2. And so you could put in an application because that person was actually leaving. They were moving.
Okay, nice.
And so I put in an application. I think there were 4 of us. And so we interviewed with the current town board, and I didn't get it.
Really?
No, I did not get that one. And so we're like, oh, darn it.
Yeah.
But the person that got it in front of me, she'd actually been on one of the planning boards. So we both had board experience, but the planning board had aligned better with what at least that town board was looking for at that time. So fast forward, Mayor Rennemeyer actually then was elected, and then his seat was up. So I interviewed for another time. And then at that time, it was District 4. Or was it still District 2? So it was a district.
Yeah.
And it was District 4. So I interviewed, and I was able... then was selected at that time.
Nice.
And that was a crazy time because that was COVID. So that was June 2020.
Wow. Right in the mix of it. Yeah, what did it look like kind of being on the board during that time?
It was lonely.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things, and I think as a lot of people see that, there were smaller activities or not as many community activities, or there was the social distancing of 6 foot. We had to start out with a lot of our calls on Zoom and town board meetings on Zoom. And then up at the dais, then all of a sudden we had these plastic partitions all in between us,
Yeah.
So
Wow.
so it was crazy because you could see the person next to you, but you really couldn't. And so it was. I'm glad that I was able to, we moved past that, and COVID, conditions, restrictions have, went back. But it was a crazy time because you weren't able to really go out and meet and greet with a lot of people.
Which is such a big part of that role, and that's the benefit of being in Windsor. Like you said, it has that small town feel. So getting to interact with your local government is huge. You don't get that many places, but that's very, that's sad. And like you said, probably lonely when you don't have that, but that's what we're used to. That's interesting. How did it progress for you after that?
Well, then after that, so being appointed, then I
Yeah.
had 2 years,
Okay.
and then my term was up, so I had to campaign.
Okay.
And I will say that is something that is very humbling. It's a very insane, humbling
I
experience.
can only imagine.
Going door to door and asking people, for their vote. A lot of times, one of them I went up to and knocked on the door, and the lady made sure to yell out there and says, "I've already voted." Oh. And I'm like, "Okay, may I ask who you voted for?" She goes, "That girl."
You're like, awesome, good enough. Okay.
I go, I happen to be that girl, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I did appreciate that. And
Yeah.
But like I said, a lot of people, on the spot, you have to be able to talk on your feet.
And that is a huge skill. And that's something that, we talk a lot about in communications, is just that skill of being able to talk to people in person. And it's something that my generation is fleetingly losing, but it's so cool that you got to hone it in that way of just like literally door knocking and being like, well, vote for me,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And some of the things they bring up, some of the issues are very, very interesting. So it helps you also be ready to answer however you need to answer, and it gives you a chance to think of what is important to others.
Yes.
Because I know that I have a vision, you have a vision.
Yeah.
Everyone has a different vision, and the thing is that you have to figure out what's going to be the best for everyone. Inclusive, and be able to make sure that no one really feels left out, but they also can understand why the town board, the mayor, staff, why the town has to do things certain ways.
Yeah, and that's such a skill, not only being able to talk to people like that, but being able to translate those ideas between people. How have you kind of, carried that into your role as mayor now? What does that look like for you kind of on a day-to-day, and then using those skills to effectively do the role as well?
I think definitely it's listening. I mean, many people just want to listen, and they're amazed when you're like, you're just talking to them, and then you're like, "Oh, by the way, I'm the mayor." They're like, "Oh my gosh, you're the mayor."
You're like, wow,
yes,
this conversation is like,
I'm like,
really
I'm a regular
good.
person,
Yeah.
and you're approachable. You can talk to me. It's not a problem, and I'm here to listen. When we talked about like coffee with the mayor, quite a few months ago, but we had a gentleman that was very passionate about a topic, and he was really wanted to understand what we were going to do about speeding.
That's a big one.
And it is, and it's something too that I'm like, I wish I could. I can't control people speeding. We can try to detour them, putting up speeding signs, speed traps, and things of that nature. But I'm not in their car driving it, but I wish I could help. But his was really a specific question that he had, and his question was, what if someone's speeding, they get into an accident, the car flips, lands on a house, and the house catches on fire and people die. That seemed like a not necessarily, I could see someone speeding and potentially hitting a child or crashing into another car or there's something happening that way.
That was specific.
Very much so. So I had the opportunity after the coffee with the mayor to actually go up and speak to him directly and ask him a little bit more about that situation. And come to find out that his situation, it had happened to him. Like 40, 50 years earlier in his life, that had actually happened to him. And so it was he was speeding. A police officer, I believe, was chasing him. The police officer's car flipped, landed on a home, and killed the people in the home.
Wow.
And so
that's crazy.
It is, but that's where it goes back to is if you can understand where someone's coming from and what their issue is and why they feel that way, then you can understand them better and be able to help them either get them through that or be able to talk to them or find a solution that you can help solve for them. Yeah. So that's really...
Yeah, Julie, that is just like, I think what you said right there is just such a mark of a good leader, having that compassion and not just being like, oh my gosh, this person's complaining, but like, why do they think that way? People don't do many things in life without a cause. And I think, Windsor's very lucky to have someone like you, and hopefully we continue to have mayors like you to where people are willing to sit down and be like, okay, why do you think that though? And then advocate. If the town can't stop that thing because it's not in our control, we are doing other things to help, like red light cameras, like more stop signs, like having a really good police department. So, being able to have that compassion and then translating what we're doing to try to meet those people where they're at is such a key effort, which is so wonderful. But what is it? So as we can tell now, Julie's an awesome leader, great mayor. What does a day in your life look like, though, as mayor? What do you do?
That's great. Yes. Yeah. So, wonderful example, because I wear so many hats, and sometimes the hat gets caught when you're trying to take it off too. So so this morning, I'm getting ready to pack to go see my son,
yes,
Alpha
exciting.
College, yes, and then had to attend, a all employee meeting for my full-time job.
9 to 5.
9 to 9. Well, that was like 9 to 9 job, but yeah. And then come here to visit you. And then, of course, let me see, I think there's a couple other things. Then I have to reply back about other events that are coming up of, different things to attend. So, I mean, really, it's switching and being able to switch those gears and at least know a lot of things. And one of the things I can say is that the reason why I can be an awesome mayor, those are your words, but is because of the staff and the people and the support people of the town. If we did not have the right leadership teams in place, I couldn't do what I do. And I think that's also the important thing is that, a lot of people say, does the mayor need to be full-time? At this time, no. And I honestly hope that Windsor never has to have a full-time mayor, because then that would mean that we are big. We're huge. We're a Fort Collins. You know? And so in that case, then if we can stay small, then we can have a part-time mayor, which would give a chance to a person like myself that is, full-time employment, background in procurement, supply chain industry, a mom, a wife. Yeah. It gives us a chance to be able to become a leader.
Yes.
If you just have a full-time leader, then maybe their background has been more geared towards politics or certain public service or certain other things. But it helps Windsor keep that variety and keep that kind of diverse thoughts.
You're their neighbor. And you're the type of person that, many people want in that seat because you're just one of them. You're someone who just lives in Windsor. So that is a huge benefit, and having a great leadership team like Shane and Eric and all those wonderful people allows for us to keep that. And that's really cool. But that's so awesome. And I mean, you obviously do the boards too, and those take a good amount of time. You guys can watch those on TV or on our website. Our meetings are very extensive, and you guys do a good job covering a lot of things. I was wondering too, kind of what does the voting process look for you? When you get things you guys have to vote on at your board meetings, do you do research beforehand? If you don't know something, how does that kind of look to inform your votes?
That's a wonderful question, because in the case of when we do a legislative one, we're going to make a law. It's an ordinance of certain natures. We can do various research. We can ask questions beforehand. When something comes to us that's a judicial or quasi-judicial type of thing, you cannot do research on those.
Okay.
Those are when they say they're quasi-judicial, you are a judge. And a judge, just like in any courtroom, doesn't go outside of what people are looking at. They can't go do their own Google researches or go do a ChatGPT summary of something. They have to only look at the facts, only the things that are presented to them. So in this case, when we do the quasi-judicial, you can only go on the facts that are given to you. So you can't stray from that. And so one of those things that's, we've had a controversial thing that was about like the telephone. The communications tower, telephone tower. And one of the things there, it's a judicial. So we had to go on like facts that are presented to us. We couldn't necessarily do our own research, and we could only, if someone advised us of, something, if it was harming the environment, we had to have a fact, have a study. You can't, we couldn't just go on feeling. And that makes things, I mean, sometimes it feels like you're like that, they're heartless, or, why did they think that way? Or why did they do that? And it's, we have to follow the law.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that when you get involved into the different boards or commissions, you can understand then why we do the things we do. Why does my water go up? Why is my sewer rate going up? Why is this, why is the town going that way? Why aren't they taking over the post office? Post office is federal, by the way. Yeah. Why don't we do certain other things? I mean, so it's very helpful when you get involved, just being able to understand why decisions are made various ways.
Yeah, I mean, and then that's just really good information to know. Like, there's just different things you vote on in different ways, and that's very interesting. So, hefty job, hefty process. What is the most rewarding part of this job for you? It's obviously a big commitment. What keeps you doing it day to day?
Oh my gosh. I think the best part is when I get to go talk to the kids.
Oh, I love
and
that.
So this year I've spoke to first graders. Last year was second graders, and I think then we're having some third graders actually come to town hall in the next week. So
I love it when the kiddos tour town hall. You had some exchange students visiting last year as well.
Yes, last year we had some from Japan. Mm-hmm. So that has been, and being able to talk to them, it's great. I would say that I will now have forever burned into my head. A comment that I received from a first grader was that I look like Donald Trump.
Oh my gosh.
So I took it as a compliment. I
You're
do
like,
believe
okay. He was on TV, so yeah.
I do believe, but I think in his mind that was his reference. His reference was a political nature.
Yeah.
And so in his mind he's like, the mayor, that's a political job.
And this is the only political figure I know. So.
That I've met face to face. So it was really interesting. So I said, well, thank you so much. Mm-hmm. I was kind of hoping maybe I look more like Melania Trump.
Yeah,
but
like, do you want to change that comment?
But I'll take that because, again, that was his reference point. And that's where they really keep you on your toes.
Yes, they do.
Their questions. And so that's what's fun. And also, they're so excited. And then I get a hug when they're leaving. And so that's even more precious.
You're like, man, I'm getting these intense questions, but they're not mad at me. They're happy. I'm so excited.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it'll forever be burned in your head what kids say to you. Yeah, I taught swimming for like 7 years growing up, and the things they'll say is just like crazy. But it's funny, it keeps life entertaining. That's awesome that you get to interact with kids so much too. And the exchange program's really cool. Like, I remember when the German exchange students were here as well over the summer, I think it was. And Maddie and I got to tag along with Julie for a little bit of that, and that was really fun. But it's cool to see not only people in our community getting involved, but in different communities. But that's really awesome. What other aspects are like rewarding for you?
Well, I think it also was very exciting is that I got to meet Santa last year. So that was wonderful. Got to be, right up with him one-on-one.
Yeah, Santa.
And, I mean, I cannot wait to tell my grandkids that your grandma knew Santa. So
we have the pictures to prove it.
Exactly. Yeah. I do have the pictures to prove that. I think also, attending a lot of the business openings and and things like that. What I've really noticed, though, from being mayor, it's not necessarily, it's relationships. That's what you're doing. You're building relationships, and you're helping to bring various people together. I think just even recently, I was able to get a business owner to meet with someone from the WDA. You get the economic development team to meet with another person that, contacted me and wanted to, potentially do a business here. But it's relationship building, and you don't realize how much that is. It's not one person. Again, I'm a part of a team, and I can hand off like the football, hand off to the person that is the expert in those various areas.
Yeah. A lot of connecting people to the right people, and your whole council does that too. You guys are really awesome with doing that. I love that you said you even got the chance to connect a business owner to our economic team and all that awesome stuff. Are there any cool projects that people can look forward to that you're like, wow, this is really awesome, that you and the council are part of that can kind of talk about as of now? That's the key point.
That is true. I know that there are a lot of things. Many people are excited about having another grocery store to come to town. I know it cannot break ground soon enough, and that is something. I know that a lot of people on the south side, Rain Dance, wish that it would have came to that area, but it is going to be on the east side of town. So it's something that I know that when I moved to Windsor and there was less than 18,000 people, and we had 2 grocery stores, and right now, thank goodness, now we have Esch's is opened, and then we're going to have the King Soopers, and then there'll be numerous pad sites around King Soopers that will allow for other restaurants and other little supporting businesses that can come in. So I think that one we're really excited for them to get going and to break ground. We know that we have a lot of area also up by I-25 that we can also develop.
Interesting. Okay.
There have been various conversations going on, so nothing I can divulge.
But we know that we can do something there, so that's exciting.
Exactly. Yeah. It is.
Maybe one day.
It won't be homes.
Yeah.
I think the other thing when you kind of talked about coming into town, I mean, us being able to purchase that open space was a huge thing that we were able to do for the community. And it was the people of Windsor, when they said that they would put in that little extra sales tax money, that we would be able to have the money to buy that open space. And that open space is really to help us build community buffers. We don't necessarily, I at one point lived in Houston, Texas. Or if you go out to California, and you're in LA, you don't know where one town ends and the next one begins.
They completely blend. Yeah.
And so being able to put some of those buffers in place that will allow Windsor to you can feel like you're in Windsor. Not that I in West Greeley or am I in, I am in Windsor now. So I think that's also very important to help us with our identity.
That's something you don't think about, and that's something to definitely plan ahead of time for sure. I'm from Castle Rock originally, but now I go back and I'm like, wow, everything blends like that. So hearing that from you now, I'm like, geez, I wouldn't have even thought about that. But that's cool that you guys are planning that now and really conserving the small town feel that we have in Windsor, and that's a big step towards that. Wow, I absolutely love that. And Evan talked a lot about the new King Soopers as well in his episode, so you guys can find more about that there. But it is really cool to think about how there's different pad sites where businesses can land as well, because you just think, oh, a new grocery store, but then there's like so much more opening as well with that being built and churned. Those are all very exciting projects that people can look out towards.
Oh, yes, definitely.
What are some advice, though, that you have for people who are like, wow, this sounds awesome? They're listening to you and they're like, I have those same passions. What advice do you have for people who are looking into public office and things like that, and how they can get involved specifically in Windsor?
No, those are wonderful questions, because that's definitely something you want to become engaged. Just recently, we actually, Shane and I, the town manager and I, did a mock interview at the Windsor High School.
Wow.
And there was a young lady, 14, that is thinking she wants to have a career in politics.
Nice.
And so we actually went in and did a mock interview with her and reviewed her resume and gave her a few pointers. But it was interesting to see where she was coming from at that, like I said, 14 kind of thinking that was something that she wanted to do. And that kind of got me thinking, back even when we talked about, how did I get going? I can tell you that definitely when I was in middle school or when I was 14 or in high school, I didn't think of myself in a public office. That was not my direction. It was, and I also feel like there's a lot of decisiveness, things going on at like a federal level.
Yeah.
But being able to get involved at a local level is a great start.
Yes.
So the best part is getting engaged. We have a lot of liaison boards. We have the tree board. We have the Parks and Rec culture board. We have the water and sewer board. There's a lot of different ways that you can just get involved there. You can come to some of our coffee with the mayors. Those are always
a great way.
Those are great there. We have great coffee. We do serve coffee at Coffee with the Mayor.
Yeah.
Coming to a town board meeting. Participating, I mean, even when I was in the Water and Sewer Board and before I was on the board, we went to one of those community meetings that talked about what do you want the neighborhood park to look like.
Oh, interesting.
And so my son and I went, and we were the people that put up the little dots on, the page. So, I mean, just getting involved just at those small levels helps kind of to get involved. And I think also having that varied background, having that diverse council that we have is also helpful too. But I think it's just really being engaged, doing research, talking to people, is really the best way to get involved. And if you really end up liking the local government, we have lots of volunteer activities you can do. We have with our volunteer coordinator, Maddie, she's got tons of things that we could do. And
Yeah,
it got
that's
dark.
awesome. Yes, but Julie, that sounds so great. I absolutely love that, and that people can get plugged in so many different ways.
Mhm.
You and all of our board are so open to community engagement, which is absolutely fabulous, which is so good. So yes, people can plug in with you guys directly. Look on our website for all the boards and liaison information, and of course, come to coffee with the mayor,
Yes, exactly.
which is awesome. But thank you so much, Julie, for chatting with me today. I absolutely love getting to chat with you. And do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think you guys have done a great job. Again, our communications department is top notch. And if
thanks.
you want to find anything out about the town, yes, go to any of our websites. We post things on Facebook, our web. We are on Instagram. We're everywhere.
Meta
just go
platforms,
crazy.
our website. You can look at the TV station. Yeah, there's so many.
There's so many different things. And,
Yeah.
and again, if you have any questions, you can always call us. We have telephones here too.
Yeah, pick up a phone, guys. Yeah, it's a good skill. But yes, thank you guys so much for listening, and please tune in for future episodes. I'm Kira McKinley, and you are listening to What's the Word, Windsor.